गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन वेलकम बैक टू ऑडिटिंग क्लास। कैसे हैं आप सब? हाउ आर यू ऑल डूइंग? एंड वी विल बी स्टार्टिंग विद चैप्टर नंबर 3. Very important chapter. I know I say this for all chapters, but there are 11 chapters and 100 marks, so of course each chapter is important. And I hope you are all sitting upright, not lying down and watching the class. Okay, so I hope you are all sitting upright with books in your hands, with notebooks in your hands, with pens, with sticky notes, and some water bottle, and we can get ready for this class. I hope you have studied chapter number 1 and chapter number 2, just gone through it on your own, because it is very important that after class, if you read the chapters, it will be much easier for you to grasp things, and you'll start the process of remembering things. So without much further ado, let's start with our chapter number 3, risk assessment and internal control. Now, these words we have heard before, right? So I have given you a small explanation about what is risk assessment and what is internal control. But in this chapter, we are finally going to study the detailed theory of it, the technicality of it, uh, a few new standards of auditing also we will be studying. So all in all, a base chapter. So before we even start doing the audit, we have to do these things, and that is what the chapter is going to focus about. So let me start with a small example. All of you can hear me, see the screen, everything. Can you quickly let me know that I am audible to you, I am properly visible to you? Quickly let me know. Yes, Palash is saying, Khushi, Karan, Jash, Nikunj. Okay, perfect. Thank you. That gives me assurance. That gives me what? Assurance that everything is clear and we are ready to start. All right. So look at the screen now. I have created a small example to make it clear for you that what will the whole first aspect. So this chapter is divided into multiple parts. And the first aspect of the chapter, which is about risk assessment, I'm going to explain to you with a small example. So mostly the risk assessment, the whole essay we will study in detail, but just to give you the number, it starts with essay number 315. All right. It talks about identifying and assessing risk of material misstatement. Now, if you remember, I told you in chapter number 1 also and chapter number 2 also that before we start doing further audit procedures, we have to do risk assessment procedure, which means before we can start doing the actual vouching verification, we need to find what are the possibility of misstatements. Do you remember what did I tell about misstatement? I gave you a quick way to understand misstatement. Who remembers that? Let me see. What is a misstatement? Who can tell me? Let's see. I told you a small trick to understand it. Let's see who remembers it. It is very important to keep revising. What did I teach you? There is no secret. The secret is to revise it. There is no other secret. So let me wait for 10-20 seconds and see. Very good. Vaishnavi has given an absolutely correct answer. What is and what should be. क्या है और क्या होना चाहिए, difference between what is and what should be, what is reported and what is required to be reported. Perfect. I'm so happy to see so many of you giving correct answer. So what is and what should be. So the possibility, risk means the possibility that there will be a difference between what is and what should be. Okay. Now, let's start with a small example. So let's start with the example of a brick making factory. Can you see that on the screen, students? Is it visible on the screen? Students, is it visible? Um, I think the iPad has hanged. Can you see brick making factory on the screen? Yeah, I think it has hanged. Just give me a second. The screen is gone. यहाँ पे मेरे तो ऐसा शो रहा है कि स्क्रीन ही चली गई है। यहाँ पे ऐसा शो रहा है शेयरिंग इन प्रोग्रेस। एक मिनट, हाँ, कुछ हैंगिंग का इश्यू हुआ है। आई थिंक अभी रिजॉल्व हो जाएगा। स्टूडेंट्स, नाउ कैन यू सी ब्रिक मेकिंग फैक्ट्री? अशोक जी, आपको दिख रहा है ब्रिक मेकिंग फैक्ट्री?
हाँ हाँ, यही तो दिख रहा है।
हाँ, ओके ओके। Okay, everyone, now pay attention. Okay. There was just small technical glitch. आज हम जो पढ़ने वाले हैं उसमें अभी अभी आपने एक चीज सीखी कि इनहेरेंट रिस्क अभी अभी आपने सीखा, विच मीन्स हर टाइप के बिजनेस का या हर टाइप के वॉट एवर वी द डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ बिजनेसेस वी डू, डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ एक्टिविटीज डू, दे हैव सम डिफॉल्ट risk which is not in your control or my control or anyone's control, but things that will happen because of the way the things are. So what is a risk in a technical setup? Quickly tell me. What is a risk in a technical setup? That sometimes the technology can hang, or the Wi-Fi can go, or the Wi-Fi can fluctuate. So what you studied and what you experience right now is inherent risk. Anyway, I'll explain to you now with another example. Let's take the example of a brick making factory. Okay. So let's say that there is a brick making factory and you have been appointed the auditor of this brick making factory. And now all of you are this newly qualified auditors and you're confused. You're confused. What do I do first? Where should I start? What is the first thing to be done? So you're all confused that, hey, what do we do? Now, should I start with checking the vouchers, journal entries, ledgers? No, we do not start there. We start with thinking that what are the main risk areas of a brick making factory? Okay, let's think about that. If I would have been running this brick making factory, what would be the risk areas of this kind of business? So let's say bricks are bricks are done by some seasonal labors, okay, and most of the time they might be paid daily wages and they might be paid in cash because they might be migrant laborers, they might not have a bank account, they might not have a permanent address. So there could be a lot of issues because of which in a brick making factory the laborers might be paid in cash. Okay, so this is a risk area. Now what happens when they do? So you just identified inherent risk in the entity. So tell me this, students, does inherent risk means that I have applied controls and still this risk exists, or it is a default risk whether or not I have applied control? कंट्रोल करो ना करो, इंटरनल कंट्रोल बनाओ ना बनाओ, ये रिस्क तो है. Whether you do internal control or not, this risk exists because of the nature of the business. Yes, very good. Default risk. So default risk is a layman word. What is the technical word for it? What is auditing word for it? What is the auditing word for default risk? Inherent risk. Where did we study the word inherent? Do you remember? We have already studied the inherent word in chapter number 1. Connect it with each other. What did we study about inherent? Connect with chapter number 1. Where did we study this? Very good, Divya. Inherent limitations. Inherent, Gayatri also, very good. Inherent limitations of audit were default risks, default limitations of audit, which means they exist because of the nature of auditing, right? We can try to reduce it, but can we eliminate an inherent risk? Can we eliminate an inherent risk? No, we can try to reduce it. So, in a brick making factory, when the daily wages are paid in cash and the laborers are seasonal laborers, you have identified an inherent risk. So, if you are a businessman, you will also have identified. So, what will you do to reduce this inherent risk? What is done to reduce this inherent risk? Quickly tell me. What can we do to reduce this inherent risk? We can plan, okay? We can create control systems. Very good. We can create internal control systems. So now what? How does the business owner and management prevent or control this risk? So they have created a system. So there is Mr. Chintu. Okay. Mr. Chintu is the labor manager. Mr. Chintu is who? He's a labor manager. He does two things. There are two roles that Mr. Chintu does. He collects the attendance every day. He maintains a very nicely, he maintains an attendance register, and he also does payment to the laborer. Now you tell me, is this system good? See this. The company has told that we have created this internal control system. How many of you think that this system is good? Quickly tell me. How many of you think that the system is good? No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Some are saying no, some are saying yes. No. Somewhat good, Diksha is saying. Okay. So those who are saying that it is not good, what is your reason? You can raise your hand. I'll allow you to speak. Those who say that this is not a good system, raise your hand. I'll allow you to speak. Okay, I'll choose one person. Rashmi. Rashmi, you speak, please.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, Rashmi.
I'm
I'll
Harshal,
ask you,
ma'am.
Harit.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good
Yes,
evening.
ma'am.
Just allow
Because
Harshal, Rashmi to speak. Then I'll come to you. Okay? Yes,
ये
Rashmi.
बिकॉज ऑफ मैम क्योंकि सेम पर्सन अटेंडेंस भी करता है और पेमेंट भी करता है, तो यहाँ पे फ्रॉड की ज्यादा चांसेस है।
क्या फ्रॉड
यस,
कर सकते हैं
इंटर
मिस्टर चिंटू? चिंटू जी क्या फ्रॉड कर
वो
पाएंगे?
अटेंडेंस बढ़ा सकते हैं, उससे पेमेंट ज्यादा बन सकता है और सैलरी ज्यादा जा सकती है।
वेरी
यस
गुड, वेरी गुड। मतलब कंट्रोल सिस्टम भी इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस है। कंट्रोल सिस्टम भी भले बना लो, even if you make control system, there are limitations in it. Yes or no?
यस
Okay. Harshal, do you have anything to add to this? Harshal? Okay. I think this is done. All right. So now pay attention, everyone. So even if we create a control system to reduce the inherent risk, so a
Hello,
good
ma'am.
system
I
has
want
been
to add
created.
it something in that
Yes.
point. कि
Yes. Tell me.
जैसे अभी आपने वन ही पर्सन चूज किया फॉर द एंटायर इंटरनल कंट्रोल सिस्टम, सो हेंस इट इज मे बी फ्रॉड and it may be mislead to the entire system, which is attendance payment to it may be done attendance more and payment also made as a extra wages to do in extra curriculum activities. Thank you,
Correct.
ma'am.
Thank you, Harshal. Thank you. So see now what happens, that if Chintuji is responsible to do everything, he can put fake attendance. See, seasonal labors, hai na? Inherent limitation, what is there? It has seasonal labor, which means there might be a Mr. Das who might be only there for 5 days. But Mr. Chintu has put his attendance for 9 days and collected cash and put in his own pocket. Right or wrong? Okay, this can happen. So that is why what you have identified right now is, now think, is this system good? Will this prevent and detect all kind of risk of material misstatement? No. Why? Because Mr. Chintu can write fake or dummy names and put in his pocket the daily wages. So he can do fraud to the company, increase the cost of the company. He can take, it's called as embezzlement of money. Okay. So he can take the money and put in his pocket. So what you have just identified, what did you just identify? You identify something called as control risk. So does internal control system also has inherent limitations? Does internal control system also has inherent limitations? Okay. So together, remember this, together inherent risk and control risk create risk of material misstatement. This is auditing's equation. You should know this by heart. Just say in accounting, you know, debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Like that, this is a fundamental principle of us as auditors, that risk of material misstatement is inherent risk and control risk together are called as risk of material misstatement. Now you understand. So risk of material misstatement is, material means what? Anything that affects the decisions of the users that is required by law. Okay. And misstatement is what is and what should be. We will do that in detail. So risk of material misstatement, how do you identify and assess? when you are able to properly identify the inherent risks and the control risks, you will be able to identify and assess risk of material misstatement. Did everyone understand this example properly? Did everyone understand this example? Good, very good. Okay, now pay attention here. So, in the chapter, what we are going to study is the first part is about audit risk. Do you remember I told you what audit risk is? Audit risk is what? Audit risk is the risk of giving an inappropriate audit opinion. Do we ever write wrong audit opinion? In audit language, do we ever write wrong audit opinion? We never write wrong audit opinion. Audit risk means auditor has expressed inappropriate audit opinion when the financial statements are materially misstated. Means I told everything is okay, but actually everything is not okay. And that is where this comes, that audit risk are of two types, okay? Audit risk are of two types: risk of material misstatement, inherent risk, and control risk. Okay. And second type of audit risk is detection risk. Now, by logic, you tell me, does this risk of material misstatement exists whether or not auditor is auditing or not? Does this ROMM exist whether an auditor is there or not? Yes. So is ROMM in control of auditor? क्या रिस्क ऑफ मटेरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट कितना ज्यादा या कम है ये ऑडिटर के कंट्रोल में है? Which means audit risk is made up of risk of material misstatement, but it exists even if auditor is there or not, which means I may give an inappropriate audit opinion, but it may exist even if I am there or not. So we also have some control to reduce or to give a correct audit opinion, but everything is not in our control. Okay. So pay attention. This is just for that I'll write everything and show you. I'm just giving you a good starter so that when I start with the theory, you are very comfortable when I start with the book. Okay. So the first type of audit risk is risk of material misstatement and detection risk. Okay. And the risk of material misstatement is inherent in control risk. Now, can I come to the book? Everyone understood the basics now? Okay. Okay. All right. Now let's see the theory properly, because understanding is also important, but to know the theory correctly is also very important. Okay. Both are very important. Now, in this part, what you have to memorize and what is for explanation. So if the first thing is very, very important, that audit risk means a risk that auditor gives an inappropriate audit opinion when financial statements are materially misstated. So I'll tell you a little bit about opinion that we can give. Okay, pay attention. Let me give you a small example of audit opinion. So as an auditor, when I do the audit of financial statements of an entity, I can give something called as, have you heard this true and fair view? I might have said that to you and explained to you previously. So when we are giving audit opinion, we usually don't say true and correct. We say true and fair. So if everything is okay, if all okay means I did not find anything that there is any material misstatement. So if all is okay, I'll give true and fair. This is called as unmodified opinion. What is it called? Unmodified opinion. So when all is okay, remember this word, it will be used in the chapter many times. So when all is okay, you give an unmodified opinion. But if there is some misstatement, okay, if there is misstatement and all is not okay, okay, then we have to give something called as modified opinion. Modified opinion. So if I tell you, if an auditor tells you that I gave modified opinion to the company, is that a good thing or a bad thing for the company? If you come to know that someone got a modified opinion, if someone got a modified opinion, do you think it will have a, if the share price will go up or share price will go down? If you hear in the news in CNBC or some news, you hear that auditor has given modified opinion, the share price might go down because it's a negative impacting report. Okay. So when auditor thinks that the financial statements and disclosures are not appropriately stated, he may give a modified opinion. The process we are studying, your whole book is to learn how to reach the judgment that when to give modified opinion. Do you understand? So our whole essay number 200 series, 300 series, 500 series, 600, everything is to teach you that how do we reach this final stage, that how to give the correct opinion, appropriate opinion, and how to make the final report. So what we are studying now is the start of that. So to reach a final opinion, the first thing we need to do is what? Risk assessment. Do you understand now? After we have finished the preliminary engagement activity, we have to do the planning of the work. And the first thing we need to do is do the risk assessment. So in chapter, you might see these words. Don't get worried about it. This will come later when we study essay number 700 series, okay? So we will study this in detail, but right now just know these words. So now come back to the book. Audit means risk that auditor gives an inappropriate audit opinion. It means that auditor has expressed an unmodified opinion when the financial statement is misstated. In this case, not only the reputation of auditor will be damaged, he can also invite regulatory action from professional body and can also face legal action. Which means if I have told that yes, it gives true and fair view, but when actually it is not supposed to give true and fair view, it can damage your reputation and goodwill. Now, why is reputation and goodwill of a chartered accountant very important? Let's say that you see Reliance audit report, okay? You have some money in your hand. You have some extra money in your hand. You want to take a decision whether I should invest in the shares of Reliance, okay? Now you see Reliance audit report and you see their balance sheet, you see their P&L, and you see some profit and you see that the profit is increasing every year. Now, below that, you will see sign of a chartered accountant. Yes or no? In the audit report, you will see sign of a chartered accountant. Do you personally know that auditor? Do you personally know that person? Let's say his name is CAXYZ. Do you know that person? But still you will trust that, okay, if it's audited, which means sahi mein profit बढ़ ही रहा होगा, which means truly the profit must be rising. Yes or no? So you are not trusting XYZ. You are trusting the name chartered accountant. Yes or no? So people don't trust you. You are not trusting me, CA Akruti. You are trusting the CA word in front of my name. Because you know, okay, if ma'am has qualified CA, she must know things. So what happens? Our reputation and goodwill is the most important thing. So if people don't trust the profession, it can damage the trust of all the audit reports you see. Okay. So if you give a wrong, in an inappropriate audit opinion, it will not only destroy the reputation of the auditor, but you can also have some case on you by regulatory body or even legal, which means even ICAI can take some action against you and even courts can take action against you. Okay. To avoid such unpleasant consequences, the auditor will plan and perform audit in such a way that audit risk is reduced to an acceptably low level. Again, we have studied this, okay? Ma'am, if I am doing business in Delhi and my CA is located in Gujarat, can he sign my financial statements and can bank rely on that? So as long as the CA is able to prove that they were able to send people, they were able to send an engagement team, and they have checked everything as per the requirement of standards of auditing, then it is reliable. Okay. So the onus is on the company and the auditor to prove that they have done all the things that are required as per the law and as per standards of auditing. But there is no such legal restriction that a business in Delhi cannot get themselves audited from a CA in Gujarat. They just have to prove that the CA has done all the work that is required. Okay. Ma'am, engagement team should be any random person or CA mandatory? No. Engagement team can be qualified and unqualified, semi-qualified assistants also. It means if I am running a CA firm, it does not mean that all my employees will only be chartered accountants. So, suppose chartered accountant can be my employee, or someone who's doing CA course like you. If you qualify intermediate, so you can also be an article who can be part of engagement team. People who have done BCom, MCom, all those people can also be part of engagement team. So engagement team can be anyone, but the training of the engagement team and the responsibility of the quality control is on the engagement partner. Okay. Any other question? Can I move ahead? Rashmi, I did not understand your question. Are you asking a question or you just making some statement? Okay. You let me know. Meanwhile, I'll go ahead. So audit risk needs to be asking. I don't understand what you're asking. Audit is doing on registered office or other offices of the entity only. Can audit in CA firm? I did not understand what you're trying to say. We'll take it up in the end, okay, Rashmi? आप मुझसे might unmute करके पूछ लेना, ठीक है? Okay. All right. So where was I? Yeah. Audit risk should be reduced to an acceptably low level. An auditor should obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence to reduce audit risk and thereby enable the auditor to draw reasonable conclusion. Consider, for example, that the profits of the company has been increased artificially by showing fake revenue of sizable amount. In such a case, financial statements are materially misstated. The probability that the auditor will express an inappropriate audit opinion is referred to as audit risk. It is the possibility that auditor expresses an unmodified opinion even when financial statements are materially misstated. So you tell me, is this 3 paragraphs to be learned? You tell me. Are these 3 paragraphs to be learned or they are just to explain? They are just to explain, okay? Only read. This is important, okay? Audit risk is a function of risk of material misstatement and detection risk. This line is important, okay? In between the 3 paragraphs are just to give you some explanation. Now, risk of material misstatement. Here, sometimes I will refer it like this just so that I can write it quickly. But in exam, you have to use fully risk of material misstatement. Okay. Now, everyone pay attention here. Let's finally learn the definition of misstatement. I have given you explanation of what is a misstatement. Let's finally learn the definition of misstatement. Okay. Pay attention, everyone. What is a misstatement? Okay. What is a misstatement? It refers to a difference. Difference between what? Difference between the amount, classification, presentation, and disclosure. Disclosure. Okay. So amount that is presented and the amount that is required. Okay. So amount is an amount that is required. What does it mean? It means, let's say that we are doing creditors. Creditors is and required. So suppose the amount given is 5 lakh, but the amount should be 5,50,000. Is that a misstatement? Amount actually shown is 5 lakh, but the amount should be 5,50,000. Is that a misstatement? Yes. Let's say that something is shown as revenue expenditure, but it should be capital expenditure. Is that a misstatement? Something is shown as revenue expenditure, but it is being shown as capital expenditure. Yes. Let's say something is creditors, but it is being shown as unsecured loan. Is that a misstatement? So can presentation also be a misstatement? Can presentation be a misstatement? So there is no contingent liability shown, but contingent liability should have been shown. Is that a misstatement if disclosure is not done correctly? So is it possible that misstatement can happen even without any amount change in P&L balance sheet? That there could be a misstatement even if it does not affect the profit, it does not affect the tax, it does not affect the balance sheet. Can it still be a misstatement? If I did not show contingent liability, but it should have been shown, will it affect the profit? Tell me quickly. If I did not show any contingent liability, if I did not show any contingent liability, but there was a contingent liability, does it affect the P&L? No. Does it affect the profit? No. Does it affect the tax amount? No. Will the balance sheet be balanced? Yes. So, but is it still a misstatement? So as an auditor, if contingent liabilities are not showing correctly, can I still say not true and fair view? Can I still say not showing true and fair view? Yes. So as an auditor, are we only concerned with correct tax payment? Is that our only job? सही से tax pay किया ये देखना है नहीं. We are concerned with balance, the whole correct amount, correct classification, correct presentation, correct disclosure. So how do I remember it? It's a very funny, silly thing. Everyone knows what is ABCD, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But how will we remember? Misstatement है ना, तो कुछ गलत हो गया, तो ये बन गया APCD. Okay. So how will we remember? APCD. APCD क्या है? Misstatement. So amount, presentation, classification, disclosure. Okay. गलत है ना ABCD? क्या है गलत? Misstatement. Okay. So amount, presentation, classification, disclosure. So will you remember? Okay, now let's see the book. Okay. Now you'll remember inherent and control risk. किसको याद करोगे inherent and control risks जैसे ही नाम आया? चिंटू जी को. ठीक है ना? Okay. Required B, but it's actually P, so misstatement. Correct, Divya. Okay, that's the joke. That is the trick. Okay. So let's come to risk of material misstatement. What is a misstatement? Please mark it as important. So misstatement refers to difference between amount, classification, presentation, disclosure. APCD. Okay. Amount, classification, presentation, or disclosure that is reported in a financial statement, and the amount, classification, presentation, and disclosure that is required. Remember these words. reported and required for the amount to be as per the AFRF. Misstatements can be due to error or fraud. So if the creditor should be 5 lakh, 5,50,000, but it is shown as 5 lakh, this misstatement या तो गलती से हो गया, कोई बिल छूट गया, some mistake has happened, or someone intentionally has removed that bill because there might be some fraud. So basically, whenever misstatement happen, it can be unintentional or it can be intentional. Okay, it can be unintentional or it can be intentional. Remember that. So after you find the misstatement, you can deep dive. After misstatement milne ke baad, after finding some misstatement, auditor can check further whether it is unintentional or intentional. Unintentional hai to okay, but if it is intentional, if there is fraud that has happened, you have found some fraud, it means your whole trust on the whole financial statement, all the documents, everything will become problematic, and you might have to check a lot of things, change your planning, change your strategy, change your audit program. So once you find a fraud, it can change the direction of the whole audit. So misstatement, very simple, difference between reported and required. Okay, difference between reported and required APCD. Okay, difference between reported and required APCD. Ma'am, while tracing out intentional or unintentional, it tends to be investigation. Still no, because we don't have investigation powers, na Anil? I might not be able to for sure say that fraud has happened, but I can report that there is probability of fraud. So I don't need to submit forensic evidence in my audit report as long as there is reasonable evidence that there is fraud. So when an auditor tells that there is possibility of fraud, then after that forensic audit can happen or investigation happen. So I will still not use the word investigation. You can just say that auditor will do more audit and the risk of material misstatement will become very high, and hence the auditor will do more in-depth audit. Is that clear, Anil? But we will still not use the word investigation because we don't have the powers for it. Okay. Here you are given few examples. These examples are just for your understanding. Okay. So I have given you most of these examples already. So charging capital expenditure to revenue or vice versa means opposite is misstatement. Not doing a proper disclosure as per AFRF is a misstatement. Using inappropriate accounting policy is a misstatement. What does it mean? If I used fee, you have not studied AS2, right? But you have studied depreciation, you know, na? SLM method, WDV method, that much you know. SLM method and WDV method, that much you know, right? So you tell me, can I use last year SLM, this year WDV, again next year SLM? Can I keep changing that? So inappropriate use of accounting policy is also a misstatement. Okay. Difference in some accounting estimate is also a misstatement. Fake expenses, intentional fake expenses is also a misstatement. Overstating of receivables means debtors without not writing of irrecoverable debts, which means bad debts. So not writing of bad debts is also a misstatement. Overstating, understating inventory is also misstatement. So this is just an example list. You don't have to memorize it. Okay. You don't have to memorize it. Now let's come to this part. So misstatement, risk of material misstatement exists at two levels. Overall financial statement level and at assertion level. Okay, assertion level. Now I'll teach you what is assertion basics. We will study that more in detail in chapter number 4 and 5. But this chapter uses the word assertion many times, so I need to explain to you. We will not do the technical theory, just a simple explanation. Okay. Let's say that you are auditor. Okay. You are auditor and you are auditing, let's say, a canteen. Okay. So let's say you are auditor of a canteen. And no, assertion does not mean one side error. Okay, Rashmi, just wait and watch. Okay. So auditor of a canteen. Now it says inventory is 30 lakh rupees. Okay. So in P&L and balance sheet, it is shown that inventory is 30 lakh rupees. What does it mean? It means auditor will have these questions in his mind. If I go to check, does it exist? If it exists, does it belong to company? If it exists and belongs, is it complete? If it is complete, is it valued correctly? If it's valued correctly, is it shown correctly, presented correctly, disclosed correctly? So as an auditor, even a small thing, so balance sheet में अगर management लिख रही है, if in the balance sheet management is saying inventory is equal to 30 lakhs, what are the claims that management is making? Management is telling me that it exists. Management बोल रही है ये है, it exists, it's mine, it's complete, it's valued correctly. Okay, it's presented correctly, it's of this year only, not old year, not last year. So basically, जब हम एक ऑडिट के एक आइटम को ऑडिट करते हैं, जब हम when we are auditing one item, we are answering these many questions. So it means that if I want to say, so let's say Rashmi is the auditor and she wants to check inventory. So will Rashmi go and see the stock? Is that enough? Will you finish the audit of inventory? If she just goes and sees the inventory, will you feel satisfied? Audit ho gaya inventory ka, khatam, all done? No. By seeing the inventory, what did Rashmi come to know? What evidence did Rashmi get by seeing the inventory? She only got the evidence that it exists. She only got the evidence that it exists. Then she will ask them, show me the bills of this inventory purchases. By seeing the bills, what all she can know? By seeing the name on the bill, she can know it belongs to the company, ownership. By seeing that all 100 bills, calculation is coming as total, she can see, okay, it is complete. By seeing valuation of this, she can know it is valued correctly. By seeing the date on the bill, she can know it is from this year only. And by seeing the P&L balance sheet, she can know it is shown, presented, and disclosed correctly. And when all these are satisfied, when all these points are satisfied, then Rashmi will say, okay, inventory is, there is no material misstatement in inventory. So when I say that I'm checking inventory, I'm actually checking many individual points about inventory? Yes or no? First, tell me this much. When I say that I'm auditing inventory, I'm auditing many points about inventory. Those are called as assertions. Those are called as what? Assertions. We break down one item into various assertions. So tell me, when we make audit program and audit procedure for anything, if I make an audit program to check daters, will I mention each assertion that needs to be verified? Yes or no? My audit procedure needs to have all the points in checklist which will cover each assertion. So as an auditor, we don't check items. इसलिए आप कभी भी language में ये नहीं देखोगे auditor needs to find evidence for items and balances and disclosures. Risk is at assertion level for items, balance sheets, and disclosures. Now you tell me, let's say this inventory, all bills you have found, all bills have been accounted, okay? All bills have been accounted, all have been valued, all have been presented and disclosed, everything is okay. But you go to the godown and roof is leaking. Roof is leaking. What does it mean? What can it affect? Which assertion will it affect? Which assertion will it affect? Valuation also it will affect, existence also it will affect. Do you understand? Did it affect the ownership? If there is leakage in the roof, did it affect the ownership? No. So, as an auditor, if I write in my audit program, okay, visit godown. Is it to check ownership or is it to check existence? In audit program, I write down visit godown. Mostly it is to check existence. Is that clear? So, जब हम audit program बनाते हैं, हम एक एक assertion को check करने के लिए checklist बनाते हैं. तो हम एक item को तो ऐसा समझो that this is inventory, this is an item. We break it down into different one item we break down into many pieces, and then for each piece we find an audit procedure. Is that clear? Everyone, basic is clear. We will study this in lot of details. In lot of details we will study this in next chapter, okay? But here this word is used continuously, that is why only I am explaining to you. Okay. So now if you will see that risk exists at each assertion level, and it also exists at overall level. So as an auditor, when I am going to audit, there is an overall risk. Okay, overall this leather industry is facing this problem. Overall leather industry, brick factory, do you remember? Overall brick factory industry has these general risks. And at each assertion level, in brick factory, cash has risk. Workers have risk. Bricks have risk. That is called at each assertion level. Even in bricks, where is the risk? Is risk in ownership? At brick, suppose inventory is at risk. Brick is at risk level. In brick also, what is at risk? Existence. Existence has more risk. Okay? So, Now I'll take the questions, okay? Now we can see some questions. Ma'am, can we say that overall financial statement risk will be for company as a whole and assertion level will be for a particular item? Very good, Divya. That is exactly what it means. Overall risk is for the whole company, but to check the whole company, first we need to check each item. And when we are checking each item, we have to see each assertion, and then we can reach whether the whole thing is at risk. So think of it like this, that this is financial statement risk as a whole. And in this, there are small risks that we have to check. Understood? What is the other question? I'll just scroll. There's a lot of answers. Can you write, if you have written any question, can you write it again? If I have missed some question. Not error is not the right word, Karan. We will always use the word potential misstatements. And those potential misstatements are what? Risk of material misstatement, okay? Don't use the word error because it can be due to fraud also. So auditor identifies potential risk of misstatement. Okay, Karan? Anyone else? Any question? Can I move ahead? Ma'am, can we say that the information provided by the management prior to audit about account balance existence, valuation as assertion? Yes. So assertions basically क्या है? Assertions ये है कि if management is telling me that inventory is 30 lakh rupees, they are telling that all these assertions exist. Yes or no? So assertions are basically declarations by management that when I tell you that inventory is 30 lakhs, it means it exists. I own it. It is complete. I have valued it correctly. It belongs to this year only. And I have presented and disclosed it correctly. So assertions are basically declarations by management that we will verify that whether their declarations are correct or not. So let's think of it very non-audit way. Okay. So if I am sitting here and I start taking your first chapter, okay, what are the assertions about me that you are assuming? What are the who's speaking? Ananya? Okay, I've muted. Okay, so if I tell you that if I am sitting here and taking the class, what are the assertions? Tell me. What assertions am I telling without telling them? That I am qualified. Very good. What are the assertions I'm just by sitting here? What are the assertions I'm giving to you? That I'm qualified, okay? That I know the concepts. That I have experience, okay? That I have knowledge, okay? Also, I'm telling you that I know the subject and I know the syllabus. Yes or no? That I'm teaching you what is in the syllabus. Now, if someone has to check these assertions, what will they check? How will they check it? So I'm giving you all these assertions. How can these assertions be checked? How can these assertions be checked? How can these be checked? Yes, by checking my certificate and degree. By taking some demo classes. Yes or no? So, assertions कोई बोलता है या वो implied होते हैं? बताओ. Assertions is something that a person tells or it is implied when they state something. So when manager has told that inventory is 30 lakhs, they are implying that it exists, that it is mine, that I have completed it, that I have valued it, that I have presented it correctly, and they are from this year. And if we have to check As an auditor, we check the assertions. Now, is it clear, everyone? So if someone has to check the assertions I am giving you, they will check my certificate, they'll check my year of passing, they'll check my experience, they can ask for recommendations or testimonials in my name. They can take demo classes for me. And by checking all these assertions, they can know whether what I am telling is correct or not. Is that clear? Now, absolutely clear. This assertion topic is extremely important. Okay? ये है actually हम कैसे audit करते हैं. How we actually do the audit. This is what it is. Okay? All right. So this we have understood. Now come to the book again. So risk of material misstatement can exist at two levels. At overall financial statement level and at assertion level for transactions, account balances, and disclosures. Okay? Transactions means P&L items, account balances means balance sheet items, and this means overall presentation. Is that clear? So assertions, at assertion level also risk exists. So risk of material misstatement at overall financial statement level means risks that affect pervasively to financial statement as a whole and potentially affect many assertions. And risk of material misstatement at assertion level helps to decide nature, timing, and extent of further audit procedures necessary. This evidence helps the auditor to express correct opinion. Now, this word pervasively, let's understand what it means. Okay, so do you know that there was an earthquake in Gujarat in 2001? I think you were not born also that time, but do you know about it? There was one time there was some tsunami also that happened in South India, especially in Tamil Nadu. Yeah. Did it affect every state? Did it affect every state? Did people in Madhya Pradesh felt the earthquake effects? No. Did we in Gujarat feel the tsunami effect? No. But does it mean that it was not material for those states? When earthquake happened, did it affect this Gujarat state a lot? Was it very material for Gujarat state? When tsunami happened, was it very material for Chennai and Tamil Nadu state and Sri Lanka? Yes. But when COVID happened, did it affect everyone and everything? When COVID happened, did it affect everyone and everything? Now let's imagine that financial statements are a country. Let's imagine financial statements are a country and it is made up of different states. That is different items. Yes or no? Let's imagine financial statement is a country and it is made up of different states. That is different items. Some things can affect an item, that is one state, and it can be material for that item. But it is possible that it is not material for the whole financial statement. Is it possible that I find some misstatement in inventory and it is a very big problem in inventory, but it may not be a big problem for the whole financial statement? Yes or no? Yes. So it is called as not pervasive. But when something affects each and everything so much, then it is called as pervasive. So where is this written? Risk of material misstatement on the overall financial statement कब हम बोलेंगे? जब वो risk क्या है? So COVID was which kind of risk? COVID was which kind of risk? Overall, which means it was which kind of risk? Pervasive risk. But is earthquake a pervasive risk? Is earthquake a pervasive risk? No. But it is important for some places, right? It can still be material. So it may be important at what level? Assertion level. Is that clear now? Okay. So risk of material misstatement at overall financial statement level means risk that is pervasive, that can affect financial statement as a whole and many assertions. Something that can affect many assertions. But risk of material misstatement at assertion level means that we have to do nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures, find evidence, and give a proper opinion. Yes, pervasively means that can affect multiple levels. You will study the definition of pervasive later on, okay? We will study the definition of pervasiveness later on. In essay 700 series, we will study later on. Right now, did you understand the meaning? अभी meaning नहीं है chapter में कहीं पे. Meaning will come much later, okay? Okay. Now let's come to components of risk of material misstatement. I have already explained to you. Now we will be doing the definitions. Ma'am, if it is pervasive risk, we need not conduct assertion level. No, no, no. In audit, you start with assertion and then you reach overall. शुरुआत audit की assertion level से होती है. पूरे financial statement का हम risk, inherent risk वगैरह assess करते हैं. पर audit procedures हम किस पे perform करते हैं अनिल? We assess the risk of the whole. But audit procedures are started with what? Each item. So sometimes individual assertion risk, individual risk at each level can also become material risk and pervasive risk. समझ में आई बात? इसमें भी प्रॉब्लम है, इसमें भी प्रॉब्लम है, ये सही है. इसमें प्रॉब्लम है, इसमें प्रॉब्लम है, ये सही है, ये सही है, इसमें प्रॉब्लम है, ये सही है. Can this become pervasive? Can individual assertion risk also can become pervasive? Yes. So that we have to take decision as an auditor. Okay, that we will study when I teach you materiality in essay number 320. अभी आपने पढ़ा नहीं है ये, okay? You have not studied this yet. So I'll teach you that when we study essay 320. अभी सिर्फ pervasive का मतलब समझ में आया ना? Technical part is still pending. Okay. Now let's come to components of risk of material misstatement. Components of risk of material misstatement, pay attention. So components of material misstatement, here itself you draw inherent risk and control risk. This is important for theory, MCQ, case studies, everything, this topic. It is important for all types of question. Okay. So risk of material misstatement at assertion level is inherent risk and control risk. Okay. Remember this line. Inherent risk and control risk are influenced by the client. These risks are not influenced by the auditor. Remember this line. Inherent risk and control risk are influenced by the client, and these are entities' own risks and they are not influenced by the auditor. So when in the starting of the class, my this iPad began hanging, right? So did I do something in it? Is it big? See, there is always a risk that the teacher taught something wrong, gave a wrong answer. That is my risk. But if the laptop or the iPad started hanging, is it related to me or is it an inherent risk? It's an inherent risk. Same way in a company or in an entity, because of the way the client is, there is inherent and control risk. They are not influenced by the auditor. Okay. These are the risks of the entity. Good, today the hanging and lagging happened. It became an example for us. Okay. It became example of what I wanted to teach you. So let's come to inherent risk. There are examples everywhere. If you see, there are examples everywhere. So inherent risk, pay attention. We need to memorize the answer properly. Okay. Let me first explain, then I'll show you this thing. Inherent risk. Inherent risk is first this word that you need to remember. Susceptibility. Susceptibility of an assertion level. Susceptibility of assertion of what? Class of transaction, balances, or disclosure, that they can have some misstatement. And this misstatement could be material. And it could be material individually or in aggregate. They can be individually before considering any controls. I know this looks like a little complicated, but it's not. We learn. Pay attention. What is an inherent risk? It is the susceptibility. Susceptibility means, what do you think susceptibility means? Let me see. What do you think? What is susceptibility? What do you think it means? Suspicious, okay. Doubtful, okay. Possibility, very good, Azhar. Possibility. Correct answer is possibility. So just a fancy, better word. Inherent risk means there is a possibility that there is some misstatement that is material without thinking there is any internal control. Now, if you remember our answer question, this Mr. Chintu ji, brick making factory में possibility है कि डेली वेजेस और सीजनल लेबर्स में प्रॉब्लम होगी. क्या ये प्रूव हो गया है कि ये प्रॉब्लम है? Is it proven that this problem is there, or you are only considering the possibility because you know the nature of business? You know that what happens in a brick making factory, and hence you think there is a possibility of misstatement in daily wages. Yes or no? So this possibility you are considering that there might be misstatement in what? In a class of transaction or some balance or some disclosure. So you are considering that there is possibility of misstatement that can be material in some transaction, in some balance or in some disclosure, which may be material individually or in aggregate before considering any control system. Is the definition very easy and clear now? Is the definition easy and clear? Will you write possibility in exam or susceptibility? Will you write possibility in exam or susceptibility? Yes, susceptibility. Please don't write possibility. Okay. So inherent risk means susceptibility of an assertion. Okay, let's come to the definition now. Inherent risk is the susceptibility of an assertion about a class of transaction, account balance, disclosure. See, एक language बना लो. क्या language? जब भी assertion, whenever the word assertion comes, it will have assertion for what? Assertion for a transaction, for an account balance, for a disclosure. Okay? So, whenever the word assertion comes, it will be with transactions, account balance, disclosures. Is that clear? No, this is not APCD. But if you want to remember that way, it's good. Okay. So inherent risk is a susceptibility of an assertion about a class of transaction, account balance, to a misstatement. And that misstatement, if there is a 1 rupee difference, is it a risk? if there is a risk of 1 rupee difference, is it a risk? But is it a misstatement? 1 rupee का भी फर्क है, तो misstatement तो हुआ ना. Even if there is a difference of 1 rupee or 10 rupee, it is a misstatement. So we take into account all misstatements? No. We take into account only those misstatements which are what? Which are material. So misstatement के बाद हमेशा साथ साथ में एक word रहेगा material. Okay? With misstatement together, it should always be material. Okay? So misstatement that could be material either individually or in aggregate. या तो एक साथ छोटा छोटा, which means directly you found a misstatement of 2 lakh, or you found small misstatements of 1,000 rupees, and together they became very material. Before consideration of any related controls as described in essay 200. 200 is overall objective of the independent auditor and conduct of audit in accordance with standards of auditing. Okay. Ma'am, why should auditor check this inherent risk? It's ultimate to have misstatement without controls, right? No. As an auditor, what did I tell you? Can we check each and every transaction? Is it possible that we can check each and every transaction? No. Because we can't check each and everything, we need to check how is the company working. If we can trust and if we can find some assurance that the company's systems are good, then accordingly we can select how much we will check, what will be our sampling, what procedures we will use. And to know whether company systems are good, we need to assess the risks. Do you understand? It's a process. Go from the back. I want to give opinion. To be able to give opinion, I need evidence. To be able to give evidence, I need to check things. How to decide what to check? That is done by risk assessment and audit procedures. You understand? We need to give an opinion. To give an opinion, we need evidence. To find evidence, we need to check things. To decide what to check and how much to check, we have risk assessment procedures. Do you understand now? And to decide what we have to check, we first need to understand the entity so that we can know what are the risk areas. Okay. Yes, Maithili. So I am teaching you, I am not telling you that you can't check. If you can check, check everything. Okay. But even if I check everything or I don't check everything, let's say that I am checking datas. Okay. Let's say that I am checking datas. And there are 3,000 datas. Okay. Out of this 3,000, I choose 800 datas. Okay, Maithili? Then for each data, there will be existence of data, ownership, rights and obligation, completeness, valuation. Yes or no? Which means for 800, we will check each assertion. Do you understand now, Maithili? For each data, we have to check each assertion. Okay. Thank you, Manisha. Why are you crying if I teach? Okay. All with practice and time, you will reach a stage when you understand everything. Okay. Don't worry. You have just started your audit journey. You're just 4 days old in learning audit. How many days old you are? 4 days old. Okay. Only 4 days old you are in your auditing journey. You have 36 more lectures. Okay. Pay attention now. All right. So inherent risk is clear. This definition needs to be learned, to be memorized. This definition needs to be memorized. Now, inherent risk can come as a short note, again as an MCQ, and as a case study. Many times in the past, it has come as a short note, okay? So short note is the most high chances that you just have to write short note on the inherent risk for 3 marks, 4 marks, like that. Now pay attention. We'll see a few words, the sentence and explanation. There is always a risk that before considering existence of any internal control in an entity, in transaction, in account, in disclosure required to be made, there is a chance of being misstated, and such misstatement can be material. This risk is known as inherent risk. So what happened here? The same definition you have just broken down and written in different words. Yes or no? Can you write 2 paragraphs now? The same thing that you wrote in definition, it is just dismantled and written into a same similar paragraph. Inherent risk is higher for some assertions and related classes of transactions, balances and disclosures. Can you see? ये हमेशा साथ साथ चलेंगे. All these 3 words will go together. For example, it may be higher for complex calculation. So if there is a complex calculation, automatically the risk will be higher. Okay. Inherent risks factors are considered while designing test of controls and substantive procedures. So inherent risk से ही आपकी गाड़ी आगे बढ़ती है. Your vehicle of audit moves forward after seeing inherent risk, because on the basis of that you decide what controls I have to check, what procedures I have to do. Right now with substantive procedures, just remember this, it means vouching, verification and analytical procedures. Okay. Again, this will come later on. We will study in detail. Category of auditor's assessment, lower or higher. Each category covers different types of risk. Auditor may assess the inherent risk of 2 different assertions as lower, while recognizing that one assertion has less inherent risk than the other, although both have been assessed as lower. What does this mean? What does this mean? Tell me. बहुत ही complicated सा कोई sentence है. What does this mean? Anyone wants to give it a try? Yes, Lohit, you can give it a try. Lohit?
Yes, ma'am. If it doesn't, like, if there is some misstatement or something like for employees or something like that, you don't take their names or something, that won't affect your what do you say, payroll. Their biometrics, if their biometrics is not working, then it may affect the payroll. But if you don't take their names properly or their names are not written properly, it doesn't affect your balance sheet or your P&L.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Little bit there. It can be better, but not bad. Good try. Let's try one more person. Maithili. Maithili, you want to give? Yes, Maithili. You are unmuted. You can speak now, Maithili. Are you speaking, Maithili? We can't hear you. We can't hear Maithili. Let's try Diksha. Diksha, you try.
मैम जैसे कि अगर कोई भी तो हमें मिस स्टेटमेंट मिल गई है असर्शन और एक उससे थोड़ी सी छोटी है, तो जो छोटी वाली होगी हम उसको इग्नोर भी कर सकते हैं क्योंकि वो थोड़ी माइनर टाइप की है.
आप जो बोल रहे हो वो सही है, बट ये इससे रिलेटेड नहीं है. जो हमने सेंटेंस पढ़ा वो इससे रिलेटेड नहीं है. आपने जो बोला वो सही है इंडिपेंडेंटली, बट वो इससे रिलेटेड नहीं है. कोई बात नहीं. गुड ट्राई. लेट्स ट्राई वन मोर पर्सन. हर्षल, गिव इट अ ट्राई. हर्षल. Yes, Harshal.
मैम मुझे लगता है कि अभी इसमें assertion level compare की गया है ना
हाँ.
as a व्यू पॉइंट ऑफ ऑडिटर.
हम्म.
तो इसमें अगर ऑडिटर देखेगा कि अगर इसमें assertion 2 different assertion मिले उसमें से कौन सा लोअर है टू रिकॉग्नाइज दैट एज अ वन assertion सिलेक्ट करेंगे एज अ ऑडिटर कि टू डू दिस एज अ एनालिटिक टू दिस practice for that particular assertion point. Maybe. Am I right?
No, little bit there, but not fully right. Let's see. One more person I'll try, and otherwise I'll tell you the answer. But good try, Harshal.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Divya, you can give it a try.
यस मैम. मैम स्टार्टिंग में हम उसको लोअर ही मानेंगे दोनों स्टेटमेंट्स को, और फिर बाद में हम उसको बाइफर्केशन कर सकते हैं कि हाँ ये कम रिस्क वाला है और ये थोड़ा ज्यादा रिस्क वाला है.
Yeah, what you're saying is correct, but this first statement no one is able to answer. That auditor may assess inherent risk at two different assertions as lower while recognizing this. So I'll explain to you now. Let's see. Okay, I'll just explain now. But good try, everyone. I'm so happy that all of you are participating so much. Usually we have a lot of myths about theory subjects, but if you take interest in a theory subject, it can be one of the most interesting things, right? So anyway, thank you for your participation. Now pay attention, everyone. Let's say, pay attention. Yeah. So if we talk about stock, okay, I told you that example of stock, right? Where was it? Okay, I told you this example of stock. Okay, now pay attention. In this stock, so many assertions we need to check. Yes or no? So many assertions we need to check. Okay. This much everyone is with me. Okay. Now, let's say existence. Which inherent risk is higher? Existence or completeness is a higher risk. Ownership is a higher risk, or existence is a higher risk. Which one is higher or low risk? Tell me. Which is the lowest inherent risk in this? Which is the lowest inherent risk? Ownership is lower. Why? Because we can easily check the bills. It can be easily verified by bills, right? But where can inherent risk be high? Suppose I am the inventory is for gold. Where is the inherent risk high? Where is the complication? Valuation. Why is valuation having more inherent risk? Why is valuation having more inherent risk if the inventory is gold? Why? Because it is complex calculation. It changes every day. Very volatile. Yes or no? So even in the same item, even if you are checking one item, some assertions can have more risk than other. Tell me. Even in one item, some assertion can have more risk than other. And even if two items are low risk, let's say existence is easy to check and ownership is also easy to check. Even in existence and ownership, which is a lower risk? They both are low risk. But which one has lower risk? Existence, because we can see and easily check, but ownership is easiest because we can just ask for the bill and you can check it. So both can be low, easily checked. Easily you can check it. Easily you can audit it. So what does this statement say? It says that different assertions can have different risk. Did you first understand that much? Even in the same item, different assertions can have different risks. If I'm checking depreciation, which assertion will have higher risk? If I'm checking depreciation, which assertion will have higher risk? In depreciation, which assertion will have higher risk? Valuation. Mathematical accuracy, yes. Calculation, yes or no? So now, after studying these examples, read the sentence. Auditor may assess the inherent risk of two different assertions. Is it saying two different items? Is it saying two different items? No. It means of the same item. The auditor may assess inherent risk of two different assertions as lower, while recognizing that one assertion can have less inherent risk than other, even though both are low. Now do you understand? Now do you understand? Okay, very good. Diksha, you don't understand? You don't understand? Okay. What does it mean? I'm again quickly repeating it. It means that whenever we check an item, we check assertions. This much is clear, Jash, Anjum, Diksha. First, tell me your assertion is clear as a topic. And each item, we will check existence, ownership, completeness, valuation. These are just for example, okay? Disclosure, all this we will check. Yes or no? This much is clear. Okay. But whenever you are checking stock, let's say it's gold, does all assertions have equal risk? Tell me this, Jash, Anjum, Diksha. Does all assertion have equal risk? Okay, good. Till here you are with me. Okay. Now tell me, does valuation has more inherent risk than disclosure? Tell me. Does valuation have more inherent risk than disclosure? So can two assertions have different level of risk? Can two assertions have different level of risk, Diksha? Jash, Anjum? Okay. So if existence and ownership have low risk, can one have more less risk than other? Is it possible that ownership, both are low, but this is lower than existence, which means even in assertions, we can make a comparison that which has higher risk and which has lower risk. That is the purpose of the point. That both assertions can have low risk, but even in that, some can have a more risk and lesser risk. Do you understand now? That is why we check risk of material misstatement at assertion level. Do you understand? That is why we check risk of material misstatement at which level? At assertion level. कि existence में कितना risk है, ownership में कितना level of risk है, valuation में कितना inherent risk है. So we check risk of material misstatement at assertion level. Everyone clear? Okay. All right. Good. So this point is about that. Next. It is important to consider that the reason for each identified inherent risk, reason, okay? Even if the risk is lower when auditor designs test of control. Risk low है मतलब check नहीं करेंगे ऐसा है? If the risk is low, does it mean we will not check at all? No. Still we have to check, but we may check less sample. That's it. So even if identified risk is low, we don't eliminate checking anything. Is that clear? For everything, we need to obtain reasonable, sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. External circumstances can give rise to business risk, may also influence inherent risk. For example, some technological development might make a product obsolete. Do you remember BlackBerry phone? Do you remember BlackBerry? You might not have used it. I don't know if you would have used it. You must have been little children that time. But there was a time where everyone used BlackBerry. Everyone in the smart world, smartphone world, people who had money, okay? By everyone, I mean whoever used phone were using BlackBerry. But then they couldn't keep up with the technological development of full touchscreen phone and new OS and Android and Apple phones. So what happened? Their product became obsolete. Yes or no? So all these factors, entity and environment factors, can also create inherent risk. Okay. This can also create inherent risk. New accounting standard, can that create inherent risk? So if I'm running a company that has a very strict application of accounting standards, yes. So an accounting standard provides guidance on some complex issue which might not be understood by the management correctly. Therefore, recording of this issue in financial statements carries an inherent risk of being misstated. There are a number of business failures in an industry. Therefore, assertions in financial statements of an entity operating in such industry carry an inherent risk of being misstated. So these are just examples. Nothing, you don't have to memorize them. Inherent risk is clear to everyone. We'll take a small break now. 5 minutes break only, not 10 minutes. 5 minutes break. And we'll be back, okay? Thank you. Okay, students, let's continue. So inherent risk is done. I'm again doing control risk. Again, these are very universal topics, which means they don't just have their importance in chapter number 3, but they're important in the whole audit. Okay. So again, I'm mentioning it that control risk again can be asked as a short note, can be asked as an MCQ, can be asked as a case study. In any form and structure, these questions, these topics will find their way in your audit exam. You will not write an audit paper without the word risk of material misstatement. Okay. So control risk. Control risk, pay attention here quickly. Meaning I have already explained to you. Now let me just explain to you technically. So control risk is a risk. Control risk is a risk that misstatement can occur in transaction, account balance, and disclosure. Okay. It will occur and it may be material. Same sentences. Okay. Either individually or in aggregate. So this part is fully same as inherent risk. It is saying that control risk is a risk that some misstatement can occur, which will not be prevented, or detected and corrected by internal control system on timely basis. So after an entity, even if you decide that I want to start a business, you will study the inherent risk of that business. To reduce that risk, you will create internal control system. But that internal control system may not always work. And that risk is called as control risk. So control risk is a risk that some misstatement may not be prevented or detected and corrected. So let's say there is big cash and there is gold. So it's a jewelry store. Okay. You know what are inherent risks? People can steal jewelry, people can steal gold, people can steal cash. All these are also a part of the risks of a jewelry business. To control those risks, you have done two things. Okay. First, you have put a very big lock. Okay. That lock can only be accessed by two people putting the key together. Okay. So you have created a lock that two people together, when they put the key, then only it will open. Same thing you have done for all your gold jewelry. Okay. What is this? This is prevention. What is this internal control trying to do? What is the purpose of this internal control? What is the purpose of this internal control? Prevent करना कि लोग cash या gold को छू ना सके. But let's say a very skilled thief has come and he opens these doors. Then an alarm starts sounding. Plus police intimation is done. This is prevention? No. What is this? This is detection. What is this? This is detection. So जब प्रिवेंशन फेल होता है तो कंट्रोल सिस्टम हम सिर्फ प्रिवेंशन के लिए बनाते हैं या डिटेक्शन के लिए भी, कि अगर प्रिवेंशन फेल हो गया तो डिटेक्ट तो हो जाए. So control systems are not made to prevent only, they are made to prevent, but they are also made for detection. So when you put a good lock, so when you go out of your home and you lock it, what are you doing? Prevention. And if you put an alarm system in your home, that if someone opens the door, the alarm system will go off. What is that? Detection. So internal control system has two jobs, prevention, detection. And with detection, together it is correction. The third stage of internal control is correction. So if a company has internal auditor, not external auditor, internal auditor, जो कंपनी का ही काम कर रहा है, कंपनी के साथ में एम्प्लॉयड है, he is employed in the company, internal auditor. Can internal auditor prevent? No, because internal auditor checks things after sales has happened, right? But can it detect and correct? Oh, there was some problem in your sales, please correct it. Yes. So internal control systems are to prevent, detect, and correct. But if the thief entered in my, what is this? Thief opened it at 9 p.m. and alarm is ringing at 11 p.m. Is it of any use? Is that internal control system of any use? If the thief came at 9 p.m. So what does it mean? Internal control system should also be on timely basis. Correct timing. When internal control fails to do these three things, what does internal control fail to do? It either did not prevent or it did not correct, detect and correct on timely basis. So what is this risk called as? Control risk. Is everyone clear? What is this risk called as? Control risk. So let's say that company has created a system that Simran will every day keep all the cash and checkbook. Before going home, she will put in the locker. Okay. But before going home, suddenly she got a call from her home that someone is very, very sick. Come immediately. And Simran forgot to put it in the locker. Is that a possibility that exists? Is that a risk that exists? Why? Because inherent limitations of internal control system. So, control risk is a risk that misstatement regarding class of transactions, account balances, and disclosures, which may be material, either individually or aggregate, cannot be prevented or detected and corrected by internal control on a timely basis. This is an example of control risk. That's it. Now come to the book. In accordance with Essay 200, control risk is a risk that misstatement that could occur in an assertion about a class of transaction, account balance, and disclosure that could be material either individually or when aggregated with other misstatements will not be prevented or detected and corrected on timely basis by entities' internal control. This risk is called as control risk. Control risk is a risk that internal control existing and operating in an entity would not be efficient enough to stop from happening or find and then rectify in appropriate time any misstatement, disclosure, transaction. This is again repeated. So ye formal language, this is same thing in informal language. Do you understand? The above definition is in formal language, same thing in down other paragraph in informal language. It means internal control is existing, it's operating, but it is not efficient to stop from happening or to find and rectify the situation. Therefore, in a way, it is said that there exists an inverse relationship between control risk and efficiency of internal control. So tell me this. If internal control system is very efficient, control risk will be low or high. If internal control system is very efficient, control risk will be high or low? Low. If the internal control system is very less efficient, if internal control system is less efficient, then control risk will be high. Simple. So all this definition is given in Essay 200. That is why they are writing Essay 200. Okay. So you can also write in exam as in accordance with Essay 200. Clear? Now let's come to some examples. A company has devised a control that cash and checkbook should be kept in locked safe and access is granted by authorized personnel only. There is a risk that someone is not following it, right? You have not studied the whole essay. Okay. You have not studied the whole essay. Have I taught you a chapter called as essay number 200? Have I tagged you? Do you know actually all essays are 30-40 pages? But are we studying essays? No. We are studying chapters in which reference of essay is given. Do you understand? So essay at number 200 has a lot of introductory topics. Like I teach you some introductory topics, right? So essay 200 has a lot of base topics for an auditor. So this risk and all is introduced in essay number 200, okay? Then entity has created a control that fire extinguishers, smoke detectors are in place, are in working condition at all times. There's a risk that fire extinguishers are expired and not being continuously refilled. There's also a risk that smoke detectors are not working, okay? Yes, in CA final, you'll study each essay individually. Here you will study topics and in between lot of essays you'll study, okay? But not essays as a separate chapter. A company has devised a control relating to petty cash that only less than 10,000 rupees should be used, but it is possible that it is not followed. So these are just examples, okay? Just remember at least one example. You can remember the cash and checkbook example, or you can remember the fire extinguisher. A lot of people don't follow that. So if you go to big malls or offices, they will all have fire extinguisher, but it may be expired 5 years back, 3 years back, but they don't remember to change it or replace it. So this is a very common internal control problem. There was recently a very big fire in Hyderabad, right? Many shops near Charminar, I think a few months back only it happened. So many shops near Charminar got burnt because of the short circuit issue, right? So all these things are part of control risk only. Next, detection risk. So if you remember, audit risk, I told you, is risk of material misstatement. This is inherent risk and control risk. And the second reason of inherent risk is detection risk. Is this part dependent on auditor? This is dependent on entity. And this detection risk is on auditor. So finally, we are studying a risk that we can control a little. Okay. You cannot write in every answer. Only when it is written in the book, you can write essay 200. Okay. So wherever it is written, you write. Now pay attention. Detection risk, let's do. Detection risk, essay 200 again defines. Detection risk as a risk that procedures performed by the auditor to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level will not detect a misstatement that exists, and that could be material either individually or when aggregated with other misstatement. It means I am doing my job, but it is possible that when I am doing audit, it is possible that I will miss out on some things. I may not find all frauds that have happened in the company. I may not be able to find all the misstatements that have happened in the company. That risk is called as detection risk. Is that clear? That risk that I will not be able to detect all misstatements that exist is called as detection risk. Risks that everything cannot be detected. So, auditor of a company uses certain procedures for the purpose of obtaining audit evidence and to reduce audit risk. But still, there will always remain a risk that audit procedures used by auditor may not be able to detect a misstatement whose nature is material, and that risk is known as detection risk. Is that clear? Now, why does detection risk happen? Let me explain that to you. Why does detection risk happen? Let's say there were sales, there were 30 lakh sale bills. Okay. There were 30 lakh sale bills. Out of this, I checked 60%. Is it possible that the 40% that I did not check had some problems, and because of sampling, I didn't detect everything? So I checked 60%, but it's possible that the 40% I did not check had some problems in it. So detection risk can happen due to sampling. Detection risk can happen due to which reason? Sampling. But there are other reasons also because of which detection risk is there. It means I did not take some correct judgment, which means I sampled correctly. Out of 30 lakhs, the 60% sample was correct. But when I was checking those samples, I did not use the right procedures, or I did not do the right analysis. Is that possible? So even the sample was correct, but when I was checking the sample, I was not using the right procedure, right analysis. My experience was not right. My judgment was not right. So due to non-sampling risk, so detection risk can happen due to sampling also, due to non-sampling risk also. So if you see the book now, detection risk comprises of sampling and non-sampling risk. Sampling risk means it is the risk that auditor's conclusion based on sample may be different from the conclusion if entire population were subjected to same audit procedure. It means sample was not a correct representative of the population. Is that possible? You have studied this in your statistics in 11th, 12th and foundation, that a sample must be a correct representative of the population. So if you have chosen wrong samples, samples that do not represent the whole population, then there is a sampling risk. Non-sampling risk can happen when auditor reaches an erroneous conclusion, which is for any reason other than sampling risk. So non-sampling is what? Other than sampling. Other than sampling. Like an auditor may reach a wrong conclusion due to wrong application of some audit procedure. So I did not use the correct procedure as per the situation. I made some wrong judgments. Because of that, also detection risk can happen. So detection risk is due to two reasons: sampling risk and non-sampling risk. Is everyone clear? Everyone is clear till now? Okay. Some examples they have given. Examples: sizable work in progress. WIP, do you know? Work in progress, everyone knows? Yeah. So if I'm manufacturing something, it could be work in progress. So there is sizable means material, good quantity, large quantity of work in progress inventories are expected in financial statement. However, auditor of the company does not devote time to attending inventory count. He chooses to rely upon alternate audit procedures. So auditor is saying inventory is there, but I don't have time to go and see the counting. I'll just check the bills and do the analysis. That's enough. Do you think it's correct? Do you think he's increasing the risk of giving inappropriate audit opinion? Yes. So if you take the wrong judgments, you are creating detection risk. The auditor of a company has audited revenue of a company by taking a sample, but sample is not representative. So this is which risk? Due to sampling risk. Okay. Auditor can only influence detection risk. Remember this for MCQ. Okay. Auditor can only influence which risk? Detection risk. Inherent risk and control risk belong to entity and are influenced by the entity. Therefore, auditor must reduce detection risk to keep audit risk at low level. So tell me this. If risk of material misstatement is very high, then auditor will do more sampling or less sampling. If risk of material misstatement is very high, which means he will try to put detection risk as low as possible. Yes or no? If the risk of material misstatement is very high, he will try to keep detection risk, something that is in my control, as low as possible. So they have something called as inverse relationship. They have what relationship? Inverse relationship. Okay. So audit risk is equal to risk of material misstatement into detection risk. And this is IR into DR, sorry, IR into CR into DR. So audit risk is equal to inherent risk, control risk, and detection risk. But in your standards, mostly ROMM is written. So you will remember that ROM, risk of material misstatement, means IR and CR both, inherent risk and control risk. Okay. Detection risk may be reduced by increasing the area of checking larger samples, and by including competent and experienced person in the engagement team. So how can you reduce? How to reduce detection risk? How to reduce detection risk? It may be reduced by increasing area of checking larger samples, and by keeping competent and experienced person in engagement team. Okay. Finished? So we have completed 3 types of audit risk: inherent risk, control risk, detection risk. Very important topic. Audit risk, what is not included? So we have studied what is audit risk, but what is not audit risk? Is audit risk a legal word? Is audit risk a legal word? Is it defined in any law? Is it defined in any law? No. It is like TCWG. You remember what is the full form of TCWG? What is the full form of TCWG? What is the full form of those charged with governance? Correct, Kashish. Kashish is the first one to answer. So, Kashish, what did I tell about TCWG? Is TCWG a legal word or an auditing technical word? It's an auditing related technical word. Same way, audit risk is related to, is the word for us auditors. Audit risk is a word for us auditors. The companies, the entrepreneurs might not know this word. Okay, so audit risk is a technical word for the process of auditing. It does not relate to my business risk, that I will lose some litigation, I'll have some adverse publicity, all these things, events that can cause problem in audit, all these things are not part of it. Auditing risk means if I am given audit of XYZ Private Limited, in this engagement, what risks I have, that is audit risk. Is that clear? I am running ABC and Associates. This is my CA firm. Let's say this is a CA firm. Is it talking about risks of ABC and Associates? Does audit risk means auditor risk? No. It's talking about the risks that are in the engagements that we get. Do you understand? So it's not talking about the risk of a CA firm. It's talking about risk of an engagement that we have accepted. Okay. Okay. For the purpose of the essays, audit risk does not include the risk that auditor might have expressed an opinion that financial statements are materially misstated when they are not. Who can understand this and tell me? Chalo, let me see how much. See, I have to teach you interpretation also. You should be able to read and tell what it means. Yes, Harshal. You can tell the answer.
Ma'am, audit risk, which is not included as audit risk, which is insignificant in orderly.
हाँ, इसका मतलब क्या है पर?
मतलब जो ऑडिट रिस्क ऐसा है जो इनसिग्निफिकेंट है, मतलब जो नॉट इम्पोर्टेंट है, माइनर है एज
नहीं, ये मतलब नहीं है. Let's try someone else. Divya.
यस मैम. मैम
Yes.
वैसे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स मिसस्टेटेड नहीं है, बट ऑडिटर बोल रहा है कि मिसस्टेटेड है.
Correct. Absolutely correct, Divya. Very good. Round of applause for Divya. See, as much as it is important that you learn audit, you should also be able to Understand audit. In exam, you should be able to understand the questions, okay? So very good, Divya. It means that till now, if you would observe, since this chapter started, I have only told that आपने बोल दिया कि सब ठीक है, but सब ठीक नहीं था. You have told everything is okay, but everything is not okay. But what if you have told everything is not okay, but actually everything is okay? This is not covered in audit risk. Understood? Because ये company होने ही नहीं देती. You cannot say something is not okay without proof, right? So if I am giving an audit report and I'm saying everything is not okay, I have to give proof that it is not true and fair view. So this type of thing we don't put in audit risk. Audit risk is when you have said everything is okay, when you have given unmodified opinion, but actually you should have given modified opinion. This is the only risk we consider. Everyone clear now? Yes, Josh.
मैम इसमें थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन है, जैसे कि आपने हमसे बोला कि हमारे जो स्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो सही हैं, बट जो ऑडिटर ने बोला कि उनमें कुछ ना कुछ करेक्शन होना है। तो मैम अब जो ऑडिटर है वो अपने ऑडिट बनाएगा उसमें तो वो यही डालेगा कि इसमें रिस्क है, पर एक्चुअल देखा जाए तो उस स्टेटमेंट में तो रिस्क नहीं है। तो ये तो पार्टी के लिए वो आ गया ना, लायबिलिटी आ गई।
एग्जैक्टली इसलिए वो पार्टी की लायबिलिटी आ गई, इसलिए वो हमारे ऑडिट रिस्क में इंक्लूड नहीं होता।
तो फिर मैम बट इसमें पार्टी तो सही थी, मतलब अगर हम जनरली देखने जाए
हाँ, तो पार्टी, तभी मैं कह रही हूँ इसको ऑडिट रिस्क किसको बोलते हैं, जिसमें आपके ऊपर लायबिलिटी आए कि आपने काम अच्छे से नहीं किया है कि नहीं। अब आपने
जी।
काम, इसका मतलब ये है कि आपने सबको बोल दिया कि सब ठीक है, लोगों ने वो सोच के शेयर्स खरीद लिए और फिर उनका नुकसान हो गया। ये है ना ऑडिट रिस्क, कि आपने बोल दिया सब ठीक है जबकि सब ठीक नहीं था। पर गवर्नमेंट एसएस क्या बोलते हैं कि हम सिर्फ उसी रिस्क को ऑडिट रिस्क मानेंगे। ये रिस्क कि आपने कह दिया कि गलत है जबकि सब सही था, इस रिस्क को इस एसए में कंसिडर नहीं किया जाता, क्योंकि यूजुअली मैनेजमेंट ऐसा होने ही नहीं देगी। आप समझ में आई बात यश? तो ये हो सकता है,
हाँ
बट वो
मैम।
हमारे स्टैंडर्ड्स में कवर नहीं होता, उसको हम ऑडिट रिस्क नहीं मानते।
तो
सी
मतलब
से
मैम
क्या लिखा है?
इसमें
फॉर द
ऑडिटर।
पर्पस
जी।
ऑफ एसए। ऐसा नहीं है कि एग्जिस्ट नहीं करता, क्लाइंट के लिए तो बहुत बड़ी बात है ना कि मैंने बोल दिया कि ठीक नहीं है जबकि सब ठीक था, बट स्टैंडर्ड्स
जी।
के लिए इस रिस्क को कंसिडर नहीं किया जा रहा। स्टैंडर्ड्स के लिए सिर्फ इस रिस्क को कंसिडर किया जा रहा है कि मैंने बोल दिया कि सब ठीक है जबकि सब ठीक नहीं था। सिर्फ इस वाले रिस्क को कंसिडर किया जा रहा है स्टैंडर्ड्स में। इसका मतलब ये
ओके,
नहीं है
सो
कि वो
मैम
रिस्क
इसमें
एग्जिस्ट नहीं
ऑडिटर
करता।
अपने आप को सेव कर रहा है। सो मतलब मैम इसमें
हाँ।
हम, है ना, ये वजह था। ओके मैम, डन।
So is it clear to everyone? Can I move ahead? Okay. अब ये सबसे बड़ी चीज, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, हु टीचर्स हाउ टू नो विच रिस्क इज मटीरियल और नॉट, मैडम? हाउ टू नो? इट इज अ मैटर ऑफ प्रोफेशनल जजमेंट। काम करते करते सीखोगे। You will learn this with experience, with exposure, and with time. So if I have, let's say, 15 years experience in doing textile audit, now I understand that in textile companies, what is the risk, where is the risk, which thing I can't ignore, which thing I can ignore. Do you understand? And that is why you have articleship, and that is why articleship is very important. So that before you become an auditor and before you sign on the report, you learn for 2-3 years that how to even take professional judgment. Do you understand? Because that time in articleship, you will not sign on the report, your principal will sign it. So you are learning without taking risk. Do you understand? And that is why when you become auditor, when you clear CA and you become auditor, you have at least the articleship experience so that you can start doing the audit. Okay. So assessment of risk is a matter of professional judgment. At the discussed at the outset, audit risk is a function of risk of material misstatement and detection risk. The assessment of risk is based on audit procedures to obtain information necessary for the purpose and evidence. The assessment of risk is a matter of professional judgment rather than a matter of precise measurement. There is no maths formula. Am I teaching you any mathematical formula? Am I teaching you that? No. I'm just giving you examples and teaching you how to think. मैं आपको सोचना कैसे है ये सिखा रही हूँ, पर सोचना तो आपको ही पड़ेगा. मैं तो आपके बिहाफ पे सोच नहीं सकती. I can just teach you how to think, but I cannot teach on behalf of you, right? I cannot think on behalf of you. So that confidence to take correct judgment comes with time. The distinguishing feature of professional judgment expected of an auditor, that it is exercised by an auditor whose training, knowledge and experience have assisted in developing necessary competence to achieve reasonable judgment. आपकी ट्रेनिंग, आपका नॉलेज एंड आपके एक्सपीरियंस, आप में कैपेबिलिटी डेवलप करना चाहिए कि आप जजमेंट ले सकें. Your training, your knowledge and your experience should develop the capacity and capability in you so that you are able to take judgments. Is that clear? So is this to learn? Is this to memorize or to just understand? It is to understand, okay? This is not a theory answer. This is just repetition. We have already finished this. This also we have finished. Audit risk is risk of material misstatement, inherent risk, control risk, detection risk, sampling risk, not sampling risk. Finished. Now this also we have finished. Combined risk. So standards on auditing do not refer to inherent and control risk, but a combined assessment of ROMM. So you will not see individually inherent control risk again and again, but you will see the word risk of material misstatement, okay? नवनीत, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट सही है लेकिन ऑडिटर गलत बोले तो ऑडिट रिस्क नहीं है, लेकिन फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट गलत है लेकिन ऑडिटर सही बोले तो रिस्क है. Am I right? Yes, Navneet, correct. However, the auditor may separate or combine assessment of inherent and control risk depending on your preferred technique. The assessment of risk of material misstatement may be expressed in quantitative terms such as percentage or non-quantitative terms. What does it mean? Please remember this part. This is for MCQ. What does it mean? That I can say like this. So when I'm saying I have assessed risk, suppose I have got an auditor of Tanishq and I am assessing the risk of material misstatement. So I want to tell how much risk is there. So I can say it like this. I can either say 10% risk in sales. Okay. So I can express like this, or I can express it's high risk in sales. So this is quantitative. This is non-quantitative. So it is your preferred choice that if you want to give risk as non-quantitative like high, mid, moderate, low, or you want to give it as quantity like 50% risk, 60% risk, 10% risk. It depends on you. Okay. So it can be concluded that audit risk is equal to risk of material misstatement and detection risk, and audit risk is equal to inherent risk, control risk and detection risk. Okay. XYZ Limited is engaged in business and running many stores dealing in variety of items such as ready-made garments for all seasons, shoes, gift items, watches. There are security tags on each and every item. Moreover, inventory records are physically verified on monthly basis. What can be the risks? Inherent risk, because items can be misappropriated by employees. Therefore, risk is of the auditor is that inventory records can be inaccurate. Control risk can be that each security tag is displayed. Moreover, inventories are properly verified. Despite various controls, still collusion amongst the employees may happen, and risk can be that inventory records may be inaccurate. Detection risk, Auditor checks the efficiency and effectiveness of various controls. He could do that by making observation, inspection, inquiry. In addition to this, he can do sampling. However, despite all this, auditor may not detect the items that have been stolen or misappropriated. So these are just examples, just for reading. Okay, this is not to memorize. This is just for reading, just for understanding. This is repeated. Okay. This you can do homework, everyone. Please do this at home. You can do these 3 questions at home properly. Okay. Now, I think some of you asked me relationship. That relationship part comes in the chapter. Okay. Okay. Here only. Can you explain the inverse relationship? Yes, John, I'll do that. So let's say that, John, you found that risk of material misstatement means inherent risk and control risk both are very, very high. Is this in my control? Is this in auditor's control? No, John, right? It's not in auditor's control, John. So if I found this to be very high, will I do more procedures and will I check more samples? Yes, which means I will try to keep detection risk as low. Yes or no? I'll try to keep detection risk as very low. So agar inherent risk, control risk, risk of material misstatement is very high, then automatically auditor will try to keep detection risk very low. That's it. Nothing else. Is that clear, John Mohammed? Okay. We'll take the next topic now. Pay attention. Again, this I have explained to you. So I'll quickly tell you what to see. First, this essay name is very important. Okay. Identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. Okay. Essay number 315. We have to identify and assess what? Risk of material misstatement. What we have to assess. How we have to assess? By understanding who? Entity and its environment. So how do we remember this? Identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. Everyone clear? So the objective of the auditor is to identify and assess risk of material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, at financial statement level, at assertion level, by understanding the entity and its environment, including checking the entity's internal control. All this you already know. Okay, nothing to memorize here. You don't have to memorize anything. Auditor has to reduce the risk of material misstatement to acceptably low level. This also you already know. What is the objective of auditor as per essay 315? Write down here. Objective of essay 315. Okay. Objective of auditor as per essay 315. It is to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement at financial level and assertion level, transaction account balance, and ये तो रट जाना चाहिए अब आपको. This should be fully memorized. At financial statement level, assertion level, for class of transaction account. This is like the 100th time it is coming, okay? So that you can design further audit procedures, okay? And for the purpose of identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement, auditor shall. What to do? For identifying the risk, identify the risk. Identify the risk through obtaining an understanding of entity and its environment by checking their control system for class of transactions, account balances and disclosures. 101 time. Then identify हो गए, उसके बाद क्या? How to check? Assess the risk. Assess the identified risk and evaluate whether they are pervasive to whole financial statement and can affect many assertions. So after you have identified the risk, see if that risk can affect everything or small things. Then relate the identified risks to what can go wrong at each assertion level, taking into account the controls that internal auditor intends to test. So this is overall level. And here you will check risk at assertion level. And lastly, likelihood of misstatement, including possibility of multiple misstatements and whether potential misstatement is of magnitude that it can result into material misstatement. So how to remember this? Let's see the answer. So if auditor wants to identify steps, you can write for identifying and assessing risk of material misstatement. Okay. So first, to identify, you need to identify risk. Okay, very easy. The first step is identify risk. How? By understanding entity and its environment. Then after that, second point will be what? Assess the risk. What do I have to assess? I have to assess if it is at entity level, whole. Or second, I have to evaluate whether it is at assertion level. And even if this risk is there, then what is the chances that it will result into misstatement? What is the difference? So if you use, let's say, social media, everyone uses social media in some way or the other, or you use Gmail, yes or no? Everyone uses some email. Quickly tell me. So now you know that if you use Gmail, all your photos and everything gets uploaded online in Google Photos, yes or no? So when all your photos are online on Google Photos, there is a risk that if Google gets hacked by someone, Google का server अगर hack हो गया, तो आपकी सब photos leak हो जाएगी, yes or no? If Google server gets hacked, there is a risk that all your photos will get leaked. Is that a risk? You have identified a risk. But what are the chances of that risk to happen? Low or high? What are the chances of that risk to happen? Low. So if you have done double identification steps, you have 2 steps in it, na? In Gmail now you have 2 steps. So as an auditor also, risk, if you found risk, work over, risk milne ke baad kaam khatam? No. After identifying risk, you have to see what are the chances of misstatement due to that risk. Do you understand? So in audit also, after finding risk, we have to see what are the chances of that risk becoming a misstatement. Now, do you understand the fourth point? So we have to identify the risk, but we also have to see what are the chances of that risk becoming a misstatement. Okay. So steps for identifying and assessing the risk: identify the risk, assess the risk overall, relate the risk to assertion level, and consider the likelihood, which means possibilities of multiple misstatement. Okay. Everyone clear? This topic is also done. Okay. Now we'll do the last topic for today. Last topic for today. So we have been talking about risk of material misstatement, but how to identify risks? सब बोल रहे risk पता करो. Find the risk, find inherent risk, find control risk. But how to find those risks? By risk assessment procedures. How to find risks? By doing risk assessment procedure. Okay. What does it mean? So let's say that I have been appointed auditor of Tanishq, let's say, okay, big jewelry store, right? अब मुझे तनिष्क में क्या risks exist करते हैं? What risk exist in Tanishq? I want to identify those risks. What are the risk procedures I can do? The first is inquiry. Talk to people. Talk to management and others. Ask them questions. If a client comes to you, Kajal, if you become a chartered accountant and if a client comes to you and you want to understand the entity and its environment and you want to know what are the risks in their business, what is the main way to find those risks? By talking to the client, by asking them questions, yes or no? I can ask them. So Kajal, Tanishq has come to me. Ji Tanishq, how many do you have internal auditor in your company? How many employees are there? Which employee has how much power? Do you have a proper SOP sheet? Do you have a legal team in your company? Tell me what all cases are going on with you. And what kind of software do you use? What kind of IT system is there in your entity? Is that a way to know the risks? Poochtach karna is the best way to know the risk? To ask. So what is the risk assessment procedure? Something very technical? No. The best way to find out risks is to ask, inquire, find correct questions. Second, to identify the risks. Second way is analytical procedures. Analytical procedure. So I'll give you a small example. Analysis से risk पता चलते हैं. How? Pay attention. Let's say that I have seen that they are showing stock of 50 crores. Okay? They are showing stock of 50 crores. But shop size is 100 square feet. Can I analyze and think, hey, how come 100 square feet? You understand how small is a 100 square feet shop? Do you understand how small is a 100 square feet shop? Can you imagine? 10 by 10. Do you think there can be 50 crores of stock? There can be. But can it create a possibility that there is something wrong? But in jewelry shop, it is possible. But what if I told you they sell electronics like washing machine, TV, mixer? Now do you think in 100 square feet shop there can be 50 crores? So that is called as judgment. Do you understand? So can by analysis you can come to know of initial risks that there might be some problem in the company or there is something wrong, there is some misstatement. So that is called as using your own judgment. So can I give you can I make a common audit program if 50 square feet, if 100 square feet, then it cannot be 50 crores. No. In a jewelry shop in 100 square feet, if one big diamond jewelry is there that is antique, it can be even 100 crores. Even one jewelry piece can be 100 crores. But I know that if they are selling electronics, then it cannot be a 100 square feet shop with 50 crores of products. Okay. So the second way to analyze and find risk of material misstatement is by using your common sense. Okay. Does it mean that it is not possible? Maybe it's possible. Maybe the client tells me, ma'am, I have 50 crore in 100 square feet because I only make diamond Apple products. I put diamond for the HNI ultra rich people in the country. I make diamond phone case for them. That is why I have. There can be anything. But am I finding misstatement now? No. Am I doing audit procedure right now? No. I am just seeing what I am just getting a starting point to do my work. Is that clear? So I'm just seeing the risk possibility. It is possible that after checking that there is no fraud, there is no error, there is no misstatement. But will I ask more questions here? If I analyze this and find this, will I ask more questions? Will I ask them to justify it? Will I ask them to prove it? Yes. Okay. So does finding risk means finding misstatements? Finding risk equals finding misstatements? Does finding risk equals to finding misstatements? Think before you write the answer. Is finding risk of material misstatement equals to finding misstatements? Now answer me. No. But finding risk of material misstatement means doing audit procedures to find evidence if there is a misstatement. Understood now? Okay. So the second risk assessment procedure is analytical procedure. The third way to find risk is observation and inspection. So if Tanish comes to me, can I tell them, please take me to your shop? I want to see your shop and I want to see everyone working in the shop. So they take me to the shop and I see how the cashier is working, how the jewelry person is working, how the entry is happening, how the exit is happening, how the staff is exiting, how the staff is entering, how is the jewelry being handled. Can all this give me an idea of risk? Yes, because I will come to know their control system. Can visiting, doing inspection, give me an idea of risk? Can doing inspection and visit and observing the work being done give me an idea of risk? Yes. So there are three procedures to identify risk. There are three ways of risk assessment procedure: inquiry, analytical procedure, observation, and inspection. Is everyone clear? Is everyone clear? Okay. We'll do this in detail tomorrow. You can read this at home and we'll briefly discuss this. I've already explained. There are some examples you can go through. Okay. And we'll start with the next topic tomorrow, or in the next class, not tomorrow, in the next class. Okay. Previous chapter notes will be uploaded in a day or two. Okay. Now let's quickly do a small MCQ. Pay attention. Audit risk is a function of what? Class is not ended. 2 minutes are still there. Do the MCQ with me. Audit risk is a function of, ये तो अब रट जाना चाहिए. Audit risk is a function of A. Good, correct. Risk of material misstatement and detection risk. Components of risk of material misstatement at assertion level are components of risk of material misstatement. B. Inherent risk and control risk. ROMM equals to IR and CR. Okay. Next. Risk of material misstatement may be defined as that the financial statements are materially misstated after audit, that the financial statements are material misstatement during audit, that the financial statements are materially misstated even prior to the audit, or all of the above. Thora tricky. Some are saying D, some are saying C. Think for 2 minutes. This is the correct answer. Risk of material misstatement is a misstatement that risk that exists even before the audit starts. ROMM is a risk that exists even before the audit starts. So C is the correct answer. Next. Dash refers to difference between amount, classification, presentation, disclosure of a reported item and required item. Misstatement. Correct. This to everyone gave correct. For a given level of audit risk, the acceptable level of risk detection risk bears dash relationship to the assessed risk. What is the type of relationship? Inverse relationship. Good. So we are done for today. Now, if you have any doubts, I'll take up that. Else we are done for today. Okay. Yes, Harshal, you can start first. Harshal, you can start with your question.
Ma'am, I have a question with the second chapter.
Mm.
In that page number
Then I'll
2.18.
first finish the third chapter questions, then I'll come to you, Harshal, okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Lohit, you can ask your question.
Ma'am, yeah, can you explain pervasively once again? Like, I've got the gist of it, but I'm not
So
able to.
basically in audit terminology, I'll tell that something that affects more than one item. Something that can affect, so let's say Lohit, that you are checking something and you found problems in salaries, okay? So you found problem in the salaries because of which you feel that salaries are misstated. But I won't say that the whole financial statement I cannot say is, fully disqualified or fully wrong. So in that cases, we have an option to give an opinion called as true and fair view, except salary of rupees 2 lakh rupees. So in
Okay.
those situations, something that is material that you can't ignore, but it is not pervasive that you will say that the whole thing is wrong. That is called as pervasiveness. So pervasiveness is something that can make you say that everything in this financial statement is wrong. Okay.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Which affects many assertions. You can remember it that way. Many items and many assertions. Yes, Manisha.
Ma'am, I will ask my question at last. It's like personal kind of questions.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Harshal, you can ask now.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Chapter 2 you are telling, right?
Page number 2.18.
2.8.
Chapter 2, point number in that in that page number, point number 7.
2.18 में तो कोई point ही नहीं है.
In that 7 point number 7, given as a test your understanding.
Oh, okay, okay.
Test your understanding number 4.
Okay.
In that, can you explain, ma'am, please this?
I don't remember. I have to see. C.A. Shubhendu is statutory auditor of a social media company. ठीक है. Due to change in IT regulations by government, it has become mandatory for such companies to constitute grievance redressal mechanisms for users of social media platform of the company. Okay. Failure to comply with regulations can potentially lead to civil and criminal liabilities against a company. Is above factor to be considered by auditor while framing audit strategy? So it's not a very exam based question. It's just testing your understanding. So what it is saying that you are auditor of a social media company and IT law has been passed by the government that such companies should have a compulsory complaint mechanism. Grievance redressal means there should be a complaint mechanism through which the complaints of the users of that platform can be addressed. And if you don't comply with it, you might have to face legal action. You might have to pay penalties and all that. So when you are creating audit strategy for the company, is this an important factors? Now, if you go to the point here, this is where your answer is. Factors to be considered in audit while devising audit strategy. Do you remember this? Consider the factors that in auditor's judgment will be significant in directing engagement team effort. Means any factors that affect the company because of which you can tell the team, hey, please check that the company has grievance redressal mechanism, otherwise the company will have to pay penalty. So is this knowledge important to give direction to your team? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Significant industrial development, any legal environment. Can you see? So this is the direct answer. So you may think that this is a generic question, but it is directly asking you that is it a factor in audit strategy? So you have studied it. Yes, it's the third factor when legal environment can affect the audit strategy. So it's a direct question. Okay, Harshal?
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, one more question. Page number 2.16
2
in
point
chapter number 2.
2 point which page
2.16.
number?
16.
1 6. Okay.
In that point number 5,
Huh. Yes.
in that example are given
Which,
along with that point.
this one?
Yeah, in that given as a word contradict.
Hmm.
So what do you mean by that
It
word?
means that one evidence is not matching another. So suppose I ask you, suppose my watch has stopped working, okay? And my computer is also not showing time. So I ask students and Harshal tells me that the time is already 8:30, ma'am, class is over. And Manisha tells me, no, ma'am, time is only 8:10 right now. So that is called as contradictory evidence. So when
Okay,
evidence contradicts each other, the auditor has to do more job and find more evidence to get some satisfaction.
you can say also debate in a simple language. Debate.
Yeah, yeah. No, contradict means contradict only. Contradict is the simple layman word only. It's not a technical word.
Okay, ma'am. Understood. Thank you, ma'am.
Hmm. Yes, Manisha, you can ask now. I don't think there are any other questions left.
Yeah, ma'am, actually, I don't have a question. I have actually a problem, as you know that there are so many negative things are going on in our India, rapes are happening, and government is also corrupt, air pollution, etc., etc. So, these kind of things really affects me. I keep thinking about these things, and they are kind of becoming a problem while I'm studying, because in back of the mind, these things are coming again and again, and I'm not able to focus on my studies. So how
So
to
that
deal with
very
these things?
simple thing I'll tell you, Manisha, without going much into detail, but I'll tell you one very simple thing. Um, if things affect us, then we get the power to change it when we become something in life. So you have to use it as a fuel to get some power. It means when you become a chartered accountant, you know people will listen to you, you will have goodwill, and you will have something, even a small power. So suppose, let's say I am like you. Let's imagine that I am 10 years back, I am like you, I'm affected with everything that is happening around me. Okay. And that time, if I let that affect me and I'm not able to clear audit exam, today will I be able to give consolation to you? Will that happen? क्या मैं
No,
आपको कंसोल
ma'am.
कर पाती? तो अगर आप लाइफ में कुछ करना चाहते हो और कोई चेंज लाना चाहते हो, तो पहले उसके लिए हमें वहां उस पोजीशन पे पहुंचना पड़ेगा कि हम वो चेंज ला सके. So, अगर मुझे कोई चीज इफेक्ट करती है तो उसको एज अ फ्यूल यूज करना है हमें कि हम काम बेहतर कर सके. सो अगर तुम्हें वो चीज इतनी इफेक्ट करती है तो उससे तो भाई मुझे ये चीज इतनी इफेक्ट करती है, मतलब मुझे तो बहुत पढ़ना है, बहुत आगे जाना है, बहुत बड़ा आदमी बनना है ताकि मैं इन चीजों को रोक सकूं या मैं कुछ कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकूं, क्योंकि अगर मैं नहीं बनूंगी तो मैं कुछ कंट्रीब्यूट नहीं कर पाऊंगी. सो यूज इट नॉट एज अ, ये जो चीज आपको अफेक्ट कर रही है उसे आप इस तरीके से यूज मत करो कि वो आपको एक स्टेट ऑफ हेल्पलेसनेस पे ला दे, बट आप उसको ऐसी चीज
Yeah.
ऐसी इस तरीके से यूज करो कि वो आपको फ्यूल करके आप काम बेहतर कर सको इन लाइफ. ओके. यूज इट एज अ
Yeah, ma'am.
मोटिवेशन टू डू बेटर, कि अब तो ये
Okay.
चीज मुझे इतनी इफेक्ट करती है कि मैं इसके लिए कुछ करना चाहती हूँ और मैं कुछ कर पाऊं. इसके लिए पहले मुझे अपना कुछ नाम कराना पड़ेगा, कुछ बनना पड़ेगा, इसलिए मैं तो और अच्छे से सीए बनूंगी. ठीक है.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Josh.
मैम आई हैव एक्चुअली टू queries बेसिकली मैम. एक्चुअली मैम मैंने अभी फर्स्ट चैप्टर मैंने नोट्स कंप्लीट कर लिए थे, तो मैं कुछ न्यू केस स्टडीज निकाल रहा था मैंने ऑनलाइन. तो मैम एक्चुअली क्या केस स्टडीज देख के मतलब एकदम से पता है मतलब लाइक मेरे संग एक्चुअली मैं ब्लैंक हो गया था. रीजन क्योंकि पता नहीं एक्चुअली मैं अगर उसको सॉल्व कर भी सकता हूँ ना, तो भी वो मेरे संग ऐसा इशू हो गया था कि मतलब इतना बड़ा लाइक केस स्टडी देखने में ही वो मतलब
वो थोड़ा
लाइक
प्रैक्टिस से आएगा, इसलिए मैं अभी केस स्टडीज इतना डिटेल में नहीं करवा रही, थोड़े चैप्टर्स हो जाए। आप पहले अभी ऑडिट से तो कंफर्टेबल हो, मैंने क्या कहा, आप सिर्फ 4 days ओल्ड हो ऑडिट में, 4 दिन पुराने,
जी
ठीक है। यू हैव ओनली स्टडीड ऑडिट
जी
फॉर 4 lectures, इट्स वेरी लेस, इट्स वेरी लेस। सो फर्स्ट तो पहले आप ऑडिटिंग के वर्ड से कंफर्टेबल हो, ऑडिटिंग के टर्मिनोलॉजी से कंफर्टेबल हो, ऑडिटिंग के लैंग्वेज से कंफर्टेबल हो। आज देखो 5th लेक्चर आया तब मैंने आपको थोड़ा थोड़ा पूछना शुरू किया कि इस सेंटेंस का मीनिंग आप क्या समझ रहे हो वो बताओ। ये धीरे धीरे बढ़ेगा, पर पहले
जी
4 लेक्चर में मैंने पूछा आपसे कि आपको क्या समझ में आ रहा है, मुझे रीड करके बताओ, नहीं।
नो
सो हर चीज का एक प्रोसेस है, अभी आप उन केस स्टडीज पे मत जाओ, अभी फोकस करो कि जो बुक में चैप्टर में है उतना भी समझ में आ रहा है कि नहीं। फिर हम जाएंगे सेकेंड फेज में, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज एनालिसिस। अभी हम अंडरस्टैंडिंग पे हैं, एनालिसिस पे सेकेंड फेज में जाएंगे, तो अभी इट विल ब्रेक योर कॉन्फिडेंस मोर देन बिल्डिंग इट। सो राइट नाउ फोकस ऑन अंडरस्टैंडिंग द प्राइमरी थियोरी राइट नाउ, ओके जश?
ओके मैम। मैम एक थोड़ा सा मतलब मेरा पर्सनल थोड़ा सा एक क्वेश्चन और है, जैसे कि मैम मैं ना बेसिकली सितंबर के लिए प्रिपरेशन कर रहा हूँ, जैसे कि मैं क्लासेस ले रहा हूँ, और मैम एक्चुअली मेरे साथ में जॉब भी है बेसिकली।
ठीक
इट्स
है,
अबाउट लाइक 10 to 6। तो मतलब
ठीक है।
क्या मुझे दोनों ग्रुप के लिए जाना चाहिए या फिर एक ग्रुप के लिए जाना चाहिए, क्योंकि मेरे पास स्टडीज के लिए टाइम इतना नहीं बच पाता, क्योंकि मेरा मॉर्निंग का भी क्लास रहता है 7 to 9:30 वाला, और आपका इवनिंग का रहता है 9 o'clock तक।
हम्म।
तो मतलब
आई वुड, ये बहुत ही पर्सनल डिसीजन है जश, ये आपके जैसे समवन कैन डू बोथ द ग्रुप्स, डिपेंड्स ऑन आपकी क्या प्रायोरिटी है। एंड on this platform I cannot actually tell you this, but I would suggest
ओके
ki see how much you can cope up in the next 1 or 2 months, and then you take a decision when the exam form is coming, okay?
ओके
First you
मैम,
do
थैंक
everything
यू।
and then you take the decision as per your situation in the exam form जब आएगा तब उस दिन डिसीजन
ओके
लेना, अभी सब पढ़ो, ठीक है?
ठीक है, थैंक यू।
ओके। मनीषा, आपका और कोई क्वेश्चन है?
No,
नो।
ma'am. Thank you for solving it.
ओके ओके, ऑल राइट। अशोक जी, I think lecture we can end now. I think so. Students, any other questions? Anything else? Okay. I don't think और कोई question है अशोक जी. Okay. Bye. Good night, everyone. See you next time.